Siege has been doing this promotion on their splash screen the last couple days. It's not there now, but it was in the past, telling people to check out their aim lab modes to get to learn how to get technically better. I don't mean this as people will kind of play better after this. I mean in the actual real, this will make your technical skills go up sort of way. And after seeing it bounce around my screen for the last couple days, I decided to give it a try and to see if it's actually worth using at all. So this video is not about Rainbow Six Siege for once. It's actually just about Aim Lab. Let's go. Each of these training modes seen here today are done on parts of a recreated version of Oregon, with one exception, which is important for a reason that I will touch upon later. First up is Siege Audio Spatial Test 45, set in Meeting Hall. The whole point of this one is to challenge your hearing and to respond in kind, as a shot will ring out and you'll have to listen and choose the ball that the shot came from. It's kind of neat from an audio perspective, but keep in mind the sound propagation here is different from that in Siege. And understand that you'll likely get more than a few wrong, especially if your audio setup doesn't include a good set of headphones with surround sound. Which is not an uncommon thing these days, but you'd be surprised. It's an interesting test, but for the most part, the shot indicator will do a better job in a real game. You're better determining a gunshot's location at a distance because of that indicator, so you're better off listening for footsteps rather than gunshots at this range, because if they get a shot off on you to begin with, you are likely more dead anyway. Next, the Siege C4 Arcs test is set off the big window between Small Tower and dorms and tasks you with destroying C4 being thrown at you from various locations inside dorms. Shoot at them midair or after they've landed, but be careful since they will blow up quickly and cost you time and points. It's useful for understanding arcs of C4 thrown at a distance, and possibly even good for practice trying to snipe them out of the air without any firefight pressure. It could be one of the more useful training modes in this game. Next, Siege Capacity tests your short-term memory skills by placing different sets of multicolored orbs around, having them disappear and reappear with only one orb a different color, and having to decide quickly which one was the one that had changed. Since this is set out on the lower floor of Small Tower towards the front door, the spots that the game gives you aren't really locations that you typically get shot from, and therefore will likely never get aimed at, usually. It's great for trying to make sure you can quickly suss out where someone may be peeking from based on very little visual information, but I think it would be better in a different room with the orbs in common peeking spots. Needless to say, this is probably my least favorite one and the one that I was worst at. Next, Siege Entry 1 and 2 are where the good stuff comes in. The fully modeled version of Oregon they built up comes into play fully here, where you enter through the front door on Small Tower or on the top of lobby stairs, depending on the scenario, and work your way through the building and back around to the start. This helps reinforce your map knowledge while allowing you to peek and go through a target gallery. Being that you have a free range of movement, this and the others like it feel much more like you're making progress in learning Siege and playing Siege. The orbs placed around help teach taking tighter angles and checking corners and blind spots, and if you incorporate what these teach you into your normal gameplay, you'll probably not die so much to calves or other roamers as often, and potentially even win gunfights against tight angles. Potentially. Next, Siege Lean Peek is the second to last mode available and is set somewhere on construction site. This mode allows you to lean back and forth around a pillar to acquire and shoot targets at various ranges. It won't make you peek like Bolo or anything, but it'd be good to have a trainer available to help you peek, find your target, and click their head in a game very focused on one-shot headshots, so I think this can be a very good help. Next. And last but not least, we have a modeled version of Clubhouse to do a run-through of in a similar fashion to Siege Entry 1 and 2. It's practically the same thing that you'd be doing there, so take my words from there and splice them over here mentally, just with a different usage of map knowledge mixed in with the hopefully improving skills you're getting from the rest of the modes. And that's kind of the thing with AimLab. I'd figured this was going to be the case going in, but I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised. Everything AimLab offers to a Siege player from minute 1 can help with some target acquisition and speed, but it really does nothing for map knowledge, common hiding spaces, and other Siege-specific things. In all those game modes, I think I'd perform better if there were modeled targets, shaped like a person, with proper proportions, rather than a glowing blue orb. These orbs are great for seeing where the next shot should go, but they don't move or shoot back. There's no threat, no pressure, and these placements, even in the entry modes, aren't necessarily popular hiding spots, even for AI. Plus, the orbs aren't even the size of an enemy's head, they're much larger. So you're already losing some target acquisition time and ability by not getting trained to click a head that is the same size as what you should be clicking anyway. The gun physics are also slightly different and the lean isn't exactly the same, so even when these things are close, they're different enough that you'd have to readjust when playing Siege again if you spend a lot of time in AimLab, which can throw off an inexperienced player entirely. But we do have another alternative to AimLab, and it's something anyone who plays Siege already has access to. Terrorist Hunt, now known technically as Training Grounds in the menu, is a solo mode in Siege that pits you against a number of AI-controlled opponents that have the same size and proportions as any other player character. You see where I'm going on this? They have a sort of fixed placement, but can be randomized a little per room, so each time is slightly different. Plus, it allows you to account for gadgets as you take your shots, like having to aim around ballistic shields to get a kill and punching some barbed wire so you're not a sitting duck trying to move it. The enemies also move around and they shoot back at you, and on the higher difficulties even throw flash and frag grenades. It's not perfect and no AI is going to match up to an actual player, but you can do a bunch of warm-up rounds in T-Hunt before playing an actual game of Siege. And if you do that, you're probably already going to do better in your match experiences than if you start only with AimLab. And T-Hunt is already installed in your game. So if you're going to take the time to do anything related to AimLab and Siege, if you're like me, you're just going to run the modes that make you do a circuit of the map, then you might as well just run a T-Hunt. And at the minimum there, gain a little more map knowledge, gun handling skill, and operator mastery as you play. Those last three things I think are absolutely key to learning Siege at really any level, either fundamentally or at high, and AimLab can't do a lot about those at all. AimLab has a place for people who really want to push higher and get up to Diamond or Plat, but I'm not even sure if high-ranked players use aim trainers. They probably do, because it seems to me like they can spend their time doing that to get a little better, but why not just jump into a quick match, shoot some casual players from tough angles that you can figure out on your own with little pressure, and warm up that way before going into ranked or league. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a guy stuck somewhere in mid-gold with 600 hours put into Siege in the last year alone, so I'll stick to playing T-Hunts and running some quick play myself. If you agree with me, let me know what operator T-Hunts helped you learn the best. And if you don't, leave a comment completely debunking me or send me a link or something so that I know that I could see your definitive proof of the value of AimLab for Siege, because it's probably out there. I could be entirely wrong. I would genuinely love to see it so I can get better myself. And thank you so much for watching this video. And if you want more like it, you can hit those sweet buttons below and leave a comment. I'll keep updating you on breaking news for Siege and speculation analysis and a bunch of other things. Like, you're following me, you kind of know what you're seeing here. So check back often to see if I did coverage on something that you care about. And if you do care about something that I'm not covering, let me know down in the comments. And maybe I'll cover it. Maybe it'd be really interesting to me and we can start a conversation about that. So, yep, that's it. Have a great day, and I will catch you on the flip.